Hey y'all, good evening. Often, more often than I'd like, it says, do you want to check Jay Walker? Is my sister on here? I hope so. But anyways, more often than I like, I often give readings to people that not just are things that inspire me to come and share some information with you, but things that I really have not only had to examine about myself, but I continue to examine as a practitioner. Hello, everybody. So I just finished a reading, but what people have to understand about occult practices or even spiritual practices, they're the antithesis of a lot of religions that do not, well, they say they do. They say that they promote your self-growth, but it's your self-growth in order to serve a deity rather than to serve yourself. In fact, serving oneself in traditional Abrahamic religions is often seen as a bad thing, to the point where we are often trained, raised up in these religions where we give up our entire selves in order to make it to this paradise. All religions have an afterlife. All religions have a paradise. And the foundations of all religions is that how we live this life is going to prepare you for the next one. So that's what karma is. It's not what goes around comes around. That's reciprocity. But all religions teach you that how you conduct yourself here is going to prepare you for the next life. And in my case, it's going to make me a better ancestor. And if I really do a bang up job of this, maybe one day somebody will make me a Loa. You know, that's really high thinking, but you know, it's an aspiration. It should be an aspiration if that's your religion. What people fail to understand about magic is no different than any other faith-based practice. Prayer is a spell. Spelling is a spell, as Sister Badu has said. So that means that, you know, you are invoking a supernatural being in order to manifest your reality. Well, stop and think about this. Prayer. Invoking a supernatural being to manifest a reality. Sounds like witchcraft, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Because it is. And because it always has been, it's just that, you know, especially the male patriarchy. The same patriarchy that we were talking about wearing brassieres. Why is this important? A woman didn't make this shit. It's very clear. And somehow it's really got twisted because all of a sudden, something that never gives birth on Earth, which is in most male, there are some animals that do, like the seahorse, but we're talking about what we call the humanoid race. How is it that the creator of all things never created beings that don't give birth? Doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? People have to understand that for a lot of people, magic is like science. Our root work that we do, no matter if it's root cutting in traditional witchcraft, hoodoo, and, you know, African American folk magic. I never pronounced that. It's spiritism. In Latin American communities, there are a lot of different ways of working with these herbs and roots, but there always does that association, that doctrine of signatures, that what a herb look like, because that was to help dummies like us identified what its function was. And what its function is medically is often what its function is magically. It's not brain surgery. There are higher levels of witchcraft that do require a lot of complex thinking, a lot of ritual. Once again, religion being man's personification of science, of things that are beyond our reach. Scientific theory is still theory. But one of the things, and you know, I get really bogged down with some people that talk about what is truth. Well, in this matrix that we're in, there are some things that are true and some things that are false. And one thing that I know this much is true about the practice of witchcraft and spiritual evolution of any kind is the first and foremost concentration on self. Now, these other religions that we come out of teach us that we have to do for everybody else before we do for ourselves. But if we are the care provider, who's taking care of us? Many of us are committed to mates and children and friends and families and even religious organizations that require that we give more of us than we can actually probably spare. And you know what? Unfortunately, it's not maybe all of the fault of the people who are doing the taking, because we have managed to give away so many pieces of ourselves so much that we don't know how to do for ourselves. You know? There are times that I acknowledge where, okay, I'm going to do this for me at this particular time right now. I've got to take care of this, that, and the other. Like all of these orders from Black Fridays and 3 witch boxes that we're putting together. The courses that I have to have all in the system by Monday. And the kids that need doctor's appointments. And the groceries that have to be purchased despite that new deck I saw or that Blue Lotus I wanted to buy. So let's talk about that. Because life does get in the way. But if you start from a position of never ever taking care of yourself, how do you expect to grow in any form of spirituality, especially those ones which are non-conventional? The growth starts on the inside out. I can look at myself at times and tell when somebody's not eating good or taking care of themselves or drinking water or, you know, not even eating a goddamn green vegetable at least once a day. You all have to understand that everybody pretty much on social media is playing to be somebody that they're not. Or you deal with a lot of lies of omission. So in my case, with me, you're going to deal with the lies of omission because my whole life doesn't go on Facebook. Which would then lead people to believe that everything is perfect. And everything is not perfect. But what is perfect is how I am able to deal with it. Because I understand in my particular practice, in my particular belief systems, the power does not come from me. It comes from my ancestors, it comes from my spirits. So when the matrix glitches and some shit's fucked up, I'm like, hell, what we gonna do about this? But knowing that we gonna do it together. They know, I know, that I just can't go and ask them for something and not being willing to get on my hustle or get up off my ass or pursue the opportunity that they have presented in front of me. And that's what witchcraft is about. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people who are witches don't share all of their business on Facebook. And the ones who do, watch out, baby, they're mentally unstable. Because the reality of the matter is when you know someone's business, you know their weaknesses. And all it takes is that one really shitty person that has a consort of some really shitty spirits. And because you are so magically plastic yourself, you can't see them fucking coming. I have actually been around magical practitioners who were highly experienced and even acknowledged that somebody was coming for them and still, for whatever reason, were incapable to do anything about it. That ain't witching. Witching is not going to pick you all the lottery numbers. Will Christianity? Will being a Muslim? Will being a Hindu? Will being a Buddhist? Will any of those get you all the lottery numbers? You know, often people who are witches, witchcraft is their magical faith-based practice, like communion is for a Catholic, or burning incense in the Catholic Church and Holy Waters. We won't even go there, will we? But, you know, not understanding that ritual is part of the faith. The ritual is the demonstration of the faith, but where it is, and I explained it to my reading client tonight. If you buy a piece of fruit from the grocery store and you take it home and you cut that piece of fruit open and the inside is rotten to the core, are you going to eat the outside? So when something is rotten from its inception, like the church, are you going to eat the outside? Or are you going to, as Tracy Chapman says, taste of the bitter fruit? Or if you are the fruit, are you going to do, bare minimum that you can do to make your food healthy, to make and that's not that your body, that's your mind, they're all connected. The reason why they can't find any cures for fibromyalgia is, and I am convinced of it, is the emotional toll of trauma, anxiety, and depression taking its toll on your body. Because your mind can only handle so much of it, so then all your nerve ends are fucked up. And you're in constant pain that can't nobody fix. And they're still trying to figure out what causes it. And I told you all, I'm very much a proponent of mental health. I have a list of magical mental health practitioners that I have for people if they're interested. I believed in taking my medication, even when the law told me you're not gonna need that anymore. I took it anyway. It had every fucking side effect that you should have had when you first start taking a drug like that. Those side effects don't show up 10 years later. When I stopped taking it, I was better. Not perfect, better. And that's the other goal here. To want to practice witchcraft, you have to dedicate yourself to a certain amount of study. I don't care what anybody says, especially because there's not a lot of people that teach you. And because witchcraft, if it is not in a traditional praxis, can be incredibly personal to you. And not every book is going to tell the truth, and not every book is going to lie. Same thing with websites, same things with spiritual teachers. You have to work on your discernment. That's going to be between you and your ancestors. And if you're leaning on them, and you're venerating them, I believe with every inch of my soul that if you are consorting with good ancestors, because not every ancestor needs to be invited into your home, okay? But if you believe that they're going to help you, they do. I'm one of those types of people, how you get tired of talking to your goddamn teenagers? Because they not listening to you any fucking way. The respectful ones will sit and talk and have a conversation, and they'll go off and do what the fuck they want to. Anyway, whether the choice is good or whether the choice is bad, they're going to do what they want. So, if your ancestors constantly hear you behaving like a teenager, well, yeah, I'm going to ask the ancestors to do this for me, but I don't think they're going to do it. Or if they do it, I'm going to do it this way, even they told me to do it that way. Then your magic will fail. If you're working against any entity that you're working with to manifest that magic, it will fail. I don't care if it's somebody you've hired to do the work for you. I don't care if it's yourself. If you do work and you don't believe in yourself and your ability to make things happen, shit, if you got up out of the bed and you put your feet on the floor, you did something. If you went in, you fucking punched a time clock, you did something. Oftentimes people are wanting to join and learn witchcraft. Some people believe that the power comes from within. Yes, that is definitely a big part of this. For me, it's your intention, it's your will. Other people believe that they are the conduit of the power. I believe I am the conduit from my ancestors' power. I believe I'm the conduit from my creator's power. A creator that I really believe to be more feminine than masculine. Because like I said, I've never seen a man give a human man give birth, to shit unless they were a trans woman, which they're still no longer a man. So once again, I will assert, I've never seen a man give birth to anything. And it's funny because now they'll talk about creativity and creation and giving birth to ideas and stuff. Maybe because for them that fills a deep hole of something that they can't accomplish. But at a higher level, though, really, that's why so many women, when you think of a witch, you don't really think of a man. That's why mundane people call them warlocks or wizards or whatever. When you think of a witch, you think of a woman. You think of a woman who can manifest things, whether it's Glinda the Good Witch riding around in a goddamn bubble or the Wicked Witch of the West, creating hell and torment for everybody. So even before you start practicing, you know the witch is a woman. They say it's a woman in total control of herself. But if you're not doing, and you have to understand, a lot of us, our mothers weren't perfect people. So sometimes we base our parenting decisions and even our spirituality decisions based on the mistakes that our parents made. And I don't ever want to be like that, so I'm going to let my kids say what the fuck they want to me or something like that. Or I'm going to do everything for my kids because my parents didn't do shit for me. Well, you got to do a happy medium. You can't fall on the fucking sword every day of your life and never live for your purpose. And your purpose, by all fucking means, should give you joy. Everybody has one. It's just very difficult for people to find them. And sometimes it changes. Thank you. I've been a photographer. I've been a home organizer. I've been a personal assistant. I've been an English professor. I've been a course designer for 20 years. And now I'm a witch and a priestess and a teacher of magic. Go fucking figure. Okay? But the fact is that I don't give a fuck what you're doing. If you don't allow yourself the ability to make those changes, to find yourself, to get what you want. And no, what you want really shouldn't come at the harm of others. Sometimes it will come at the expense of others, either monetarily, like, say you're not working, you're a stay-at-home mama, you want to buy books about the occult. Well, your husband's going to have to give you money to work, to get that stuff. But I swear, everybody got a goddamn hustle these days. There should be no reason. I'm sorry, if I stayed at home and was a housewife, I'll be doing something on the side for my change. Definitely there's business. And I'm scratching my neck like Dave Chappelle, but they really itched. But you invest in self. You cannot be good to other people unless you invest in self. Self-knowledge, self-care, self-love, self-assertion. You got people that live their whole lives not getting what they want. This is the problem. You can't be a witch and do that. You can't practice magic. You don't even have black girl magic if you do that shit. It's impossible. You gotta be able to manifest for yourself first. So at number one, you can at least be an example of others to how to make shit happen. So you really, I'm a person, my pet peeve is people that come into things half-ass, and maybe that's that A type personality, that D dominant on whatever damn personality chart that I took the disc. Solid D, right in the goddamn middle. D stands for dominant. D stands for demand. You can do all of that, and that's a real sign of maturity and work experience. Without you can persuade people to do whatever the fuck you want them to do. That's some real magic right there. Without being and therefore satisfying that dominant gene in your life without making people feel like they're being dominated. In fact, the best magic is done that way. I talk to people about, you don't never see me posting spell work on the internet or in groups. You don't see me talking about who I cursed or blessed or what I did today. Because like I said, witchcraft is one of those things that's from the inside out. And I don't really see the necessity to floss anything that I'm doing. But you got people out here doing the most, being the most, and working the least. Beware of those people that got time to be on the internet all day and argue with you about magic or show you what the fuck they're doing, because they ain't doing nothing. Because I don't know if any of you have ever worked a spell, but that takes a minute. Sometimes hours, sometimes days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months. Some people are overly demonstrative of their abilities and their current whatever they are doing. How actively engaged are they in the work? You'll see if you look at my timelines, big, huge chunks out of the day where you just don't see me. I get in and I'm sitting on the toilet. Okay, look, share, happy, bye. Because I'm doing other shit. But my kids are now home. My oldest daughter went to get my youngest daughter. I want you to really stop to think about that. I think it can be very transformative for even people that live mundane lives. Not everybody's meant to be a witch or work or a diviner, but by God's means, if you call yourself a witch, when I went to get my license plates, she asked me what conjure meant. My license plates literally say conjure. She asked me what they meant. I'll be done. What's wrong? Everything okay?
Yeah, I have an idea to tell you though.
Ideas? Okay, good. Ideas are good. But give me 5 minutes. Oh no, does this involve me spending money?
I already bought it.
Oh, okay, yay. You bought it at Michael's, so that's got to be fun. Yay, okay. I love my kids. They work my nerves. I cussed them out last night, but today I love them a lot. I love them all the time. I just don't like them sometimes. And sometimes I don't like them because they like me. Stubborn, bullheaded, making their own decisions, which is what I'm supposed to train them to do. That's what we're supposed to do as parents. We're not supposed to give them every goddamn thing. And, it's hard when you didn't come up with a whole lot. Maybe you came up with love, maybe you didn't, not to want to pour all that type of shit on your kids. And I spoke to someone like that. Exactly. You live your whole life not having what you want. What the fuck point of it is in living? When you have a mate like this person I was talking to who just really has never considered their feelings or what they want. And it may not even be their fault. It may be that person's fault because they never ever told the person what they wanted. Because they never knew. That's the thing. How can you work on something and you don't know what it is? If you haven't taken the time to learn yourself and what makes you happy and what moves you and what your passion is, and that takes a lifetime. My kid's always concerned about that. I'm like, man, look, it didn't hit me till I was 40. Chill out. Just make some money and enjoy your life. You will find your purpose when you are ready. But that doesn't mean don't look for it. That doesn't mean run from every single conflict and opportunity that gave you the advantage to speak up and get what you wanted. That's why I tell people, you start these relationships with people and you catering to him and getting his plate and doing this and doing that because you want him. And he ain't doing shit but sitting on a goddamn couch. And then 10 years later, you're going to be mad because all the motherfucker does is sit on the couch. And as we get older, we get fatter. So not only is he sitting on the motherfucking couch, he is fat as fuck. So you get fat as fuck. And y'all get fat as fuck and hate each other because you've had these unrealistic expectations about how people age because we all get fucking fat. There's a very rare few of us that don't gain weight. But how you gaining weight? I would rather go and gain that weight traveling the world, eating really delicious food with somebody that I loved who really was interested in things that I was interested in, than sitting on a fucking couch with my hand stuck up under my bra, scratching my titties, wishing I could take my bra off, but he doesn't like it when my titties sag. And so, keep living like that if you want to. But I can guarantee this. You can mark my word, write it down. I'll bet you $50 fucking dollars that in this thing we call witchcraft and the occult and the manifestations of our dreams, desires, and passions, if you don't have any or if you don't know what they are, you will not have successful spell work. It's like trying to do a science experiment without a fucking hypothesis. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. So I really don't have an answer. Move this out the way. I don't have an answer for when people come to me and they want to study magic. They started reading about magic. They think it's really cool, but they really don't know what they want for themselves. And then that's the real hopeless part. And the second most hopeless part is when you're not even willing to acknowledge that. And I have to say, in those situations, if you're not going to practice self-care, magic is not for you. And you all have seen demonstrations of people who hate themselves, hate the people around them, hate their very fucking existence, and practice magic. They're miserable individuals consorting with really nasty fucking spirits, always trying to make somebody else's life miserable. That is not anybody I would encourage to pursue the occult. I encourage them to pursue therapy. And that ends my broadcast day. You all have a good evening.